Okay, let's start. People are still joining and some should be here soon, but let's start with the basics, with the introduction. And by the time everybody joins, we'll arrive to the interesting technical content that we prepare for you today. So welcome to a new edition of the Low Code Cafe. And this is actually a new chapter in the Low Code Cafe story. Why it's a new chapter? Because we are started building a new application, and we'll be doing this for probably the next 10 webinars. And this time we pick a subject that I think it's very hot, very interesting. It's about email marketing and doing those kinds of experiments that usually would be difficult to get on a email marketing platform such as MailChimp, Hotpot, or others. It's about doing those custom experiments where low code provides a solution in terms of the flexibility that you have. So we'll start with the basics today, of course, but in every webinar, we'll try to focus on these unique features that would be difficult to achieve otherwise. I think just for those people that are new to this webinar, want to mention a few words. This is a weekly webinar where we bring our team and our community also. We do feature demos, we present the roadmap, we have tips from support and the community, and also the biggest part that we keep for end is the hands-on part, where Radu will help us build this system. All these sessions are recorded and they are published on our YouTube channel. What we did last week, we also added chapters to each video because they are 1 hour in length. So now you can go in chapters and see exactly the topics and jump right through the topics. So I think that's very useful and cool. So make sure to also subscribe to our YouTube channels as we have new content coming every day, every week. The agenda for today, which basically is the same as every week. I already mentioned tips from support, feature demos, hands-on coding, where we'll be going to build an app. There are multiple ways to engage us. We have the chat window, the Q&A window. You can ask for voice so we can have a conversation, anything goes. And sorry. And at the end of the webinar, you'll also receive a feedback form that helps us greatly improve this event because it's an 11th edition and we learned with every iteration and every feedback we got, we learned something to make the content more valuable for you. So we are ready to jump into the technical content. So first of all, I will invite Dale, that leads our support team, to give us some good stories that he encountered lately.
Great, good morning. Will you let me share my screen? Absolutely, that's great. Get the right one here. Thank you. Okay, so I had mentioned on a previous session about tokens and why they're so important, and I thought I would just jump in and show that today. Today I'm demonstrating on our tokens module on the Plantain app application. And what I've done is tried to stress out tokens, tried to try to build a token that takes so long that it accurately demonstrates what's going on with caching. So at the simplest level, I've created a token for number of users. And if we edit that, it's doing a SQL select. It's a database query. So it's doing a SQL select. And if we test that out, it returns 3. On this particular instance of .NET Nuke, there are 3 users, and so it returns a 3. And then in each of my successive tokens, I did 10 of those. So if we test out, let's see, if we run this and test it out, we get 10 of that same token. So this is just a start of trying to build enough load so that we can see this working. So test 100 is just 10 of these. Test 1,000 is 10 times 100. Test 10,000 and then test 30,000. And let's edit that token. And it's just a constant definition, a constant token where we evaluate this test 10,000 3 different times. And I picked this because when we run it, it takes about 10 seconds to load. And so this gives us a good test to show what caching is going to do for us. So I've run that, and actually I'm going to pick something off of my clipboard here and load it. But it took 10 seconds to load that up, and I'm just going to demonstrate that. So if we go to run it, and this is an approximation, it'll give us a clue, but I've put the date and time in front of this so we can see when the output actually ends up loading. And it's usually between 10 and 11 seconds. And so we can stop there. It's about 10 seconds that it took to load. So this is all using the standard definition of caching, where there's no cache time. The default of caching is to give you the most accurate result, meaning it's going to compute the token at runtime. But if you can use a longer caching time, then that's what we recommend, because you'll see the performance improvements. So if we change this token cache time to 60 seconds, and this is the test 30,000 token that we're going to test, caching for 60 seconds. The first time that we evaluate this, we're still going to see it takes all that time to generate the result. And so when this time refreshes, we'll see that the token has completed. So we'll let it finish. It's still going to take the same 10, 11 seconds. And there it is. So 10.6 seconds to load. But if we load it again, it loads almost instantaneously, under a second. The caching for 60 seconds, the result of that token is going to be available. So you can see that can make a pretty dramatic difference in your load time. And in my testing, I mean, in this case, we're doing 30,000 iterations of a SQL statement. But even with constants, I find that if you use caching, it will actually evaluate faster. So the takeaway from this is, should you cache constants? Yes, always. If you're defining a constant like a number or a URL or something that never changes in your application, yes, always. It should be set with a cache value, and the longer the better. Should you cache computations? That really comes down to your what's appropriate for your application. But if, for example, you want to display the number of users that are on your site, and that doesn't change from, if you set that to 5 minutes, and that's not, unless it's key to your business model, setting it to a 5 minute will prevent it from having to reevaluate that, and it'll just get a faster answer. The heavier the load that's on your system, the more benefit that you're going to get. So what setting should you use? The longest that makes sense for your application. So that's a quick one for today, caching.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. I also think it's worth mentioning that there are many different caching layers. So you use the global layer. So maybe just briefly, let's show that dropdown with caching layers.
Absolutely. So I did skip over that. The level is global, portal, user, role, or user session. So you can get more specific. If caching, for example, makes sense for a value relative to your user, so the user has computed a value, and you're going to give that same result back to the same user. Each user would get a different. Could potentially have a different result, but it would be cached at the user level. So it's more and more granular. And so again, it's important to define that based on what you need for your application.
Yeah. And one question from Jeff, is there a dangerous maximum for cache setting?
That's a good question. Do you have any thoughts on that, Bogdan?
So I think there is no danger of putting that to whatever big interval, because I think the application will recycle maybe every week anyways. I think the danger around that is running out of server memory. So for example, let's say that you do the caching per user, and then the cache gets big. Let's say you cache 1 kilobyte of data per user, but then you have 1 million users on your website. That cache goes in memory, unless of course you have like a distributed caching service like Memcache, or there are others. So then, yes, I mean, that's the only concern that I would look like. Do I cache too much? And do I have enough memory for it?
And so the more granular you are, the more caching. If you're doing global caching, then that's much less dangerous. Yeah.
Another question, another follow-up questions. Are there tools in DNN Sharp to evaluate that kind of cache performance? I think in some of our products, we have a tool where you can click it and see everything that's in cache. I don't know if we show the sizes, but at least you see everything that's in cache. I'm not sure if somebody here in my team knows about that or where to find it.
I think you have that utility under the clear cache item action. You can find it in the help text at the top of the action. You can click a link and you can see all the cache keys there.
Cool. Yeah, so we have a tool to see what's in the cache, not so much about analyzing the performance. There are very good tools to analyze performance, like we used Application Insights quite a few times in the past from Azure. It's a very good tool. I think we used other tools as well. I don't remember the names now, but if you send me an email, I can find them up and send it to you. Cool. So thanks a lot, Dale. Very good content, very valuable. Now we are ready to move on to the next part of our webinar, which is getting to see some demos of the new features that we are building, that are going to be released soon, and also see what's on the product roadmap. So I invite Reza Garrow, our product manager and owner, to show us the interesting stuff.
Sure. Let me share my screen real quick here. Okay, so we've got several features coming out in the 1.8 release, but two of them I wanted to give you a quick look at and just kind of how things are going to work. First one, super excited about this one, is one-click update. If you've been around a while, you know how painful and time-consuming it can be to have to install and update your modules regularly, but we know that that's where you're going to get the new features and the security fixes and the bug fixes, and so updating regularly is what you want to do. So we'll take a look at how that's going to work. Essentially, you're going to be able to update App Builder and all related dependencies and the files that have been tested and go together with one shot. You'll be able to see the change log, including breaking changes, what was fixed, some details around that, so you know what you're going to get before you install it. Hot fixes, as they come out and are available, will be accessible and alerted right away from within the app. So if we roll something new out, you're going to know about it and be able to pick and choose which ones you want to install. That's separate from the regular update that would kind of take everything that comes with a major increment or release of App Builder. And then this one's coming in the next release, but also being able to add connectors, other add-ons, modules that we have available to you that you might not have installed yet with just a click of a button. So no more downloading zip files and uploading extensions, that sort of thing. Second one is a sanitize HTML action. Essentially, this is for times where, especially in our what you see, what you get kind of editors, right? Where we are giving like TrumboWig and the DNN text editor, that sort of thing. We're giving the user the ability to give us HTML. And we want that sometimes, right? Either because they're trying to format or make things look good for output in a PDF or an email or something like that, or in a situation where maybe it's a forum or they're logging a ticket and they want to give an example of their code, but we don't want to let them run the code and inject maybe potentially malicious things in to our application and store that. Also, there's a lot of times where they're giving hyperlinks, and people kind of sometimes try to trick or abuse Google and create backlinks so that they can just really drive traffic and SEO up for their site. So we have the ability to prevent that. And then lastly, just a lot of times, especially I've seen this when people are copy pasting from one place into one of these editors. And so they're saying, hey, I've already got my information over here off this web page, off of a Word document, different things like that. And whether you realize it or not, there's a lot of HTML that is embedded in those type of things, especially like in Word and stuff. And when they copy that stuff and paste it in, it's not always, even though it's grabbing a lot of that HTML, it's not just grabbing the pure text. And so they'll paste that stuff in, and then you'll save, and suddenly your page where you go to render this information will look really broken and horrible. And that's because they didn't get the closing or ending tags of what they were copying. And so we've put in the ability to be able to kind of take a look at that and close any unclosed or broken tags or HTML. So let's just go ahead and jump in here without further ado. I actually have it right here. All right, so the first one, you'll see this is when you're in your back end and inside of App Builder. And the updates has always been there, but it's always just been a pure changelog of things that have already been released. So the first thing we've done is give you an overview screen here, and you can see what major version you're on. Always down here on the bottom, you can see the minor version specifically. However, you know, in the way we release is always just with these major increments, the 1.8, 1.9. And so it'll tell you what you have right now. And if you click, you can go see what was the changelog specifically of what you have in this version. Similar to how DNM does it, we have, hey, here's the installed version, and in the next version that's available, when it's available. And so in this case, we've kind of tricked things out here to make it look like 1.9 is released and available. You'll see for every dependency if you're getting and what version you're getting. And so if I just said to view changelog, I will head over and see an example of what is in the release or version I have now. If I come back and I say I want to get 1.9, here's all of the changes in changelog, always starting with breaking changes, if there are any, and then moving through. So they're kind of grouped by then the bug fixes, new features, listed by the different modules or features that we have. And then you just click the upgrade. There's a little bit of a tweak to messaging we have coming, which again is reminding, as always, make sure you have a backup, make sure you've reviewed for any breaking changes in case you want to change your mind. But otherwise, you would just hit install here. I won't do it on this one because this is a UAT environment for 1.8 and I don't want to take it to 1.9 yet. But if I hit install, you'll have a little loading screen. Usually takes 30 to 60 seconds. Everything gets downloaded for you. App Builder is incremented, and then all the dependencies that go with that version are incremented. Lastly, hot fixes, if and when there are any available for the version that you're on right now. So if I'm on 1.8 here, I'm not going to see hot fixes for 1.9, right? I will only see the hot fixes for 1.8, and we will always release our hot fixes in that manner. The hot fixes get included in the next release, so this would be moot when I'm going to 1.9, for example. However, if in the meantime we were getting something out, you would just be able to one-click install that hot fix right from here as well. So the second thing I want to show is this sanitize HTML action. And what I have here is just a very simple setup where I've got an entity and going to allow a user to put in some information. And I'll go behind the scenes here and we'll take a look at how to configure this action. But let's say that a user puts in some JavaScript, right? And down here in this second box, I'm going to put the same script. Now I've added there's a normal add button, which would take these in purely, but I've added another button. And what it's going to do is let through whatever on the regular description one. However, on this sanitized one, we're going to run it through the sanitize HTML action. And what you'll see here, in this case, I've got it configured to strip out and not allow any sort of script. And so even though both boxes had the same JavaScript in them, what you'll see here is that the sanitized one has pulled that out. And so that happens silently, right? So you want to be mindful of how you're using this. And what could happen here a lot of times is when this stuff is stored like that, people can inject script, cross-site scripting on you, right? So let's take a look behind the scenes at how this action works. And this was just one of use case of what you can and would use it for, especially in those cases, again, where you're wanting to allow HTML and that sort of stuff in. So we go to this button, which is kind of wired up to do our normal create of an entity. This entity happens to be called sanitization. This is what comes in. However, I have this new action, sanitize HTML, and it basically is saying, and you can mix and match, it supports tokens, obviously, my tokens. In this case, I'm taking the field in from the form that is the description sanitized. And I want to run it through this action before I hand it off to the subsequent actions, right? And so you have a few options here. They're mainly just kind of checkbox and configuration things. One is if I was going to want to strip out those links where people are trying to do those the following to boost their SEO up, you just check this, and this will pull that REL attribute and set it to no follow automatically for you. So they just put in a normal hyperlink, but this gets taken care of during the processing. If I want to remove, so I'm going to allow certain attributes in my HTML, but if I want to remove them, I can pick which ones I want removed. In this case, the demo I just showed, I just checked the box. This will remove all script tags and their content from the provided HTML. And then here I have the ability to also go a step further and exclude or include, allow certain tags. So maybe I just want to allow very simple HTML, and I can say, hey, I'm going to allow paragraph tags, I'm going to allow, anchors, but that's it, right? And so this just basically allows me to turn a whitelist mode on. Sometimes that's just easier when you only want to allow certain things in. Otherwise, by default, you can come and essentially make a blacklist, which is going to say, here's things that types of tags and things in HTML I don't want to allow in. And then, you can target down deeper into, like I said, the attributes of things. So sometimes you do want an attribute that is maybe going to disable autofill, things like that on a form where they're putting in an address or something, but you don't want it to be their address that was stored in Chrome, right? So I want to allow that, but then there's other attributes where people can come and again try to inject some sort of scripting, different things. So this will automatically close and fix up the tags for you. Like I was talking about, and then what you do is you just give it a name. So you're going to move one set of HTML at a time through this action, even if you wanted to combine multiple fields or anything like that. Now, if you did want to sanitize, for example, both of the inputs that I have, you would run them both through their own separate sanitize HTML action. So it's kind of one field at a time on a form, or one set of HTML at a time, even if you want to combine it. The reason being then is that you're getting, you name an output token, right? So the field I'm sanitizing here is this P_description sanitized. I'm saying run that through this, strip out and disable the scripting, and then just call it description sanitized. So I've moved the P_ off. And then you'll notice here, when I'm giving it to my update action, it can be SQL, whatever you're working with, giving it to a PDF that you want to output or something. And I'm giving the name of the post-processed sanitize HTML action here. And then that's what's getting saved in the database. That's then what's going to get retrieved in other places where I'm showing it on a screen or something like that. And now that JavaScript is not going to be there. It's not even going to be stored in my table, in my database. So that, if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, that's the gist of those. And those are releasing now. We're just a few days away from this being rolled out.
Yep. One question from Adi, member of our team. Is the add new item field, we can insert multiple attributes tags by separating them with a comma? So I think, yeah, it was not in the description if they are comma separated or.
It actually lets you, you're adding a list one by one. So you put them in multiple times. So for each one you want, you have an add button, and it.
Oh, you have an add button. Okay.
I believe so.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. We don't have any more questions. Oh, we have a question from Jim. Will there be a best practice list for sanitization settings?
Sure. It's a good idea. We can put that in our documentation, as well as maybe start something on the community portal around that. So we've got some ideas, and like I said, this is on one hand simple as it can be to check a box. There's a lot of functionality and power you can get out of that, especially when you start combining them. And so we ran this through a lot of different scenarios and testing, and we can seed things with what we've got there in the different scenarios, but always happy to keep that going. And aside from the documentation, maybe the community portal would be a great place to share those best practices.
Yep. And I guess at a minimum, especially if the input comes from HTML editor, I mean, paragraphs and list is probably, and maybe links is probably the 3 elements that you want to allow, and then just strip everything else. So you don't have like content that's font size 7 and then font size 2 and then color black and then stuff like that.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Reza. Do you want to also show us something about the release schedule, or?
I'll just touch on it real quick and want to be mindful of our time as we kick off our new app. So Friday, if anyone's waiting or needs, we'll have the release candidate available for 1.8. And we'll send that out officially probably Monday. The newsletter and the announcement and things will be available there, both from the DNN Sharp side and the Plantain app side. There is probably it will come as a hot fix shortly thereafter, but I will address it in the newsletter. There is one change that is very important and very good, but potentially breaking for a very, very small percentage of people. And the reason I bring it up is it ties very well into this sanitize HTML action. And essentially, out of the box, when you put your HTML and text fields on a form, right now, people could be putting script and different things in there, and you'd be saving that, right? So this action helps with that. However, there's a lot of stuff out there already that is built. And so there's a new secure input checkbox toggle setting coming on all text fields and action form, both going forward. But when you update the module, it's going to retroactively apply this. And what it will do is prevent any of the scripts, and it will strip automatically this sort of stuff out from a security standpoint. And so most people, most of the time, are not wanting to store JavaScript code inside of their regular text fields and things. If you did, then you would just turn that secure input off and use the sanitize HTML action to get it dialed in the way you want it, right?
Thanks, Reza. And I think this will be an important security fix that people should upgrade.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess the problem, it depends how you use that information. If you use it in Action Grid, by default, Action Grid doesn't render HTML. You have to put that checkbox. But if you use it for something else, you might be exposed. So I think it's very good to upgrade.
Yeah, like a Razor token for your output, for example.
Exactly. Cool. Thanks a lot, Reza. Very good updates. Can't wait to see the new version. So now let's move on to the hands-on part of our webinar. So today, as I mentioned, we'll have a new chapter where we are going to build a email marketing system. Before going into that, I want to tell you a bit about the process, because we learned and we changed it a bit compared to the past 10th editions. So we are continuing with this pattern where we each week we incrementally add a new feature to the system. But then in between the webinars, we'll also fill in the gaps, like things that we didn't finish, we'll finish. So at the next webinar, we'll demo it in a functional state, in a production ready state, with those features that we got to start doing the webinar. So in other words, this will be a system that is production ready. So we are planning to start using it, but also if you want it, just send us an email and we can create a copy for you. So now to what we are trying to build here with the email marketing. So email marketing and marketing in general is something that companies need to experiment a lot with. Is the main engine of growth, right? But then with the platforms that you have out there, you are constrained with the experiment features that they offer, right? So at times I felt this need when using SaaS platforms, and also saw around that the lack of flexibility constrains the business growth, right? And then with this app, we are trying to make a case for how low code can be used to drive custom email experiments. And of course, first we need to have the basics for email marketing, like contacts, lists, and campaigns. Later, we'll add more features. We had a brief brainstorming at the end of previous webinar about what are the people's struggles with existing SaaS platforms. And if you have others, please fill them in the survey form, that in the feedback form that comes at the end of the webinar. They will definitely help us get a very good app out there. But then in every webinar, I want to also focus on adding something unique, something that cannot be easily done with other platforms, with other marketing platforms out there. So for today, we decided to do some dynamic content inclusion in email templates, right? Like on MailChimp, if you want to pull content from an API, for example, that would be a difficult process, very difficult process. It's not straightforward to do. So that's where low code offers the flexibility to do this. So I'm not sure what Radu has prepared, what content to pull, but basically our main story was that we have the release notes living in one system, the DevOps systems for Plant an App, but then those release notes need to get in the email. And then we don't want it to be a copy paste. We want it to be a dynamic linking between them. This is a case where copy pasting would be easy, but then imagine cases where emails don't get sent at once. Maybe it's a welcome email. So when people create an account, they receive a welcome email that contains some information that needs to be updated on a different system. So without further ado, I will invite Radu to kickstart this project.
Hello, everyone. Let me start by sharing my screen. And okay, share one. Okay, let me move this out. Okay, so welcome to our new and clean Plant an App instance, where we are going to start actually doing what Bogdan presented. So as any, hopefully any project that starts from nothing, the first thing that you need to do, it will be to set up your database. In this case, we're gonna need to go and set up the entities. So basically, we're gonna need to set up the structure where we are gonna save our information. And for this, I thought about a little bit of a structure that I have, and while I'm gonna do it here, I'm gonna explain in a little bit how this is gonna work and why I did it like this. So the first thing first, it will be to instead of just having a list of emails, a blank list of emails, why not have a list of contacts? And I'm just gonna go contact and contact. Let's go. So a user, display menu, and yeah. Okay, I think I need to do something else, and this is actually a new feature Reza didn't show you, so I think I have the honor to do it. I'm gonna come back to that later. So let's say our contacts have, for example, a first name, a last name, the actual email, and I don't know, maybe an email type. But you see, the problem here is that the email type. Okay, email. The problem here is that the email type is not really okay to have it saved as a text. Maybe you want to have it as a drop down usually. So you can choose from, I don't know, business professional or work, free, or, you know, put contacts in some categories, and you after that, when sending some of the campaigns, you can send only for, you know, I have a campaign that is only for enterprise work, so I'm assuming that I want only to say to send emails to the work email address. How you figure if it's an email or not is depending on how you ask people to, what email you ask people to subscribe to your marketing channel. So for the moment, I'm not gonna add the email type. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna choose this as first name. I'm gonna click save, and to enable an email type, I'm gonna go and say really quickly here. I'm gonna create an email type entity, email types, capital twice, and I'm gonna choose, you know, let's say envelope open text. Let's choose this one. What I'm gonna do actually, because what we brought new in this version on 1.8 is the fact that you can choose where the page is gonna be. So because the email type is actually an entity that's only, at least at this moment, it's only used to define the contacts, it makes sense for me to add it under the contacts page. And I'm gonna click really quick continue. I'm just gonna go and say name, and name is gonna be my main property. I'm gonna go click save, and coming back to contacts, to the properties, I can say email type, and I can go here really quickly and choose of type entities email type. Okay, and I'm gonna override. So what this enables me to do right now is, now I can go and let's give it a second. I can go to the contacts page, add a, but I cannot do that. I can go and say, I can go the first thing first, I need to go and find some email types. So let's say business, personal, and I don't know, temporary. I know there are temporary email addresses, so this may be an option. Now going back to the contacts page, and when I go and add new contact, and let's see, let's add me, my personal, let's go for my work address. And I can go and choose, sorry, an email type, and I'm gonna say, we know, well, this is my business. And I can go again and add me again, but this time I'm gonna go and say this is my personal. So I'm each email address actually defines a new contact in the system, because each time you have a new email address, that means you have a new channel to contact the person. Doesn't, in this case it's me, but usually it's not the same person. So we're gonna have a list of thousands and thousands of contacts that we want to contact. So now that we have the contact proper, at least at this point, properly defined, what we can do is go back to the entity viewer and we can create a list. These lists are going to be actually list of contacts. So the list of contacts, let's see, maybe I can find something cute for this one, users. Okay. This can stay on the root. Okay. And the list, well, the list will just have a name for now, and maybe a description. That can be okay also. And I'm just gonna choose the name here really quickly and click save. So now that I have a list, a list itself needs to have some contacts. And those contacts, we know if they are subscribed or not to that specific list. So for that, what we can do is go for, let's say, list contacts. Yeah, this list contact and list contact, this may work. you know, it's an ad, so. Okay, let it on route, click continue. And this one is gonna have like a date of subscribe.
Radu, cannot that be the created date? Do we need a second date?
Well, we need something to click on.
Okay, let's keep it like that.
That's the thing. Which can be date and time. We need a list. We need an element of a list, and we need a contact. Contact. I think I have an idea for this. Maybe we can have source, which how this contact subscribe to this list, and also if is subscribe. So it's subscribe. It's on. I think I missed it. Okay, subscribe. Is subscribed. Subscribe. And this should be a true false Boolean option for me. So the first initial can be, oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna leave source for the moment. Okay.
Just to make it obvious, we could have created a list of contacts directly on the list, you know, but we wanted to store additional fields. So that's why with this architecture, we built a third entity that connects a list to a contact. So then we could also have the same contact belong to multiple lists.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that.
And did you want to change the type of source, date and time?
Oh yeah, correct. The text is gonna be cool. Okay, and I'm gonna click save. So, and you know, the last thing that we need to do is create an entity for the campaigns themselves. So the campaigns themselves are gonna hold a generic template that will have tokens inside. So if we need to reference the first name, the last name, or I think, you know, well, the first name and the last name is the only thing that we're storing in this case for the contact. We can use tokens inside the campaign template that we're gonna send to you know, personalize and make it more personal each mail, so you can connect better with your prospect. But we also want to add some custom tokens that Bogdan said that we are gonna do some API. We're gonna call some API that's gonna bring us some data about this user, maybe a third-party system, maybe I don't know, something that is relevant for that user, and we can add it in that campaign template dynamically on the time that the campaign is gonna actually send. But for the moment, a lot of tagging, and I'm not creating the campaign entity. And always starting this campaigns envelope open. Hopefully they're gonna open. I'm gonna leave it on the root, nothing more. It's gonna have a name and, you know, a start date. We can have the start date. We can maybe make the start date in such a way that we can prepare campaigns in the future. Okay, start date, yeah, it's gonna be the time. An end date, maybe we need to mark when we were able to send the last email, so at least we have an idea of how much time it took to send how many emails. And also a list of we need a list of lists. No, list, I think. List, and we need a list of lists. Well, yeah. So the idea is that I can choose what list I want to use in this campaign, and based on that, I can go and check my list I can go back and check my, I see, we have some questions, I think. Bogdan or Alex, let me know if.
Yeah. No, the question was about the daytime formats that we support, and I already responded to Jim on chat that you can get more daytime formats inside Form. So if you go to Form, there are all the formats are there, you know, and you can create your own custom formats as well.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we have at least the basic structure of having this. I think we have a nice. I just figured out what I forgot in the campaign, the actual template. Let's have it a large text for the moment, but in the, I'm not gonna spoil it, but in the next episodes, this is gonna be something else. It's not gonna be a large text. We don't want to write our own HTML to have beautiful templates. So, but if you want to see more about that, I think in the next episode. Okay, so now we have our main structure. So let's see what we have right now, and let's see how this looks at this moment. So we have two contacts. We don't have any list, so let's create one list. Just me and my emails. Okay, this is Radu email. Radu's emails. This is okay. Cool. And now I can go into the list and contacts, and what I can do is do something like this. I can go and say manual input for the list me and my emails, and I want me to add, and I'm gonna be subscribed to this. Also, I want to add me again. So now manual input list me and my friends, but this time I don't want to, I think the second one is my personal email, so that I don't want to test with that. So what I'm gonna do is, for the moment, I'm not gonna be subscribed in this list of contacts. And after that, what I will need to do is go to the campaigns, create a new campaign. I'm gonna say low code Café 1. I want to send it. Well, this is not relevant until now because we didn't set anything, and the end date should not. Oh well, the end date should not be here. Maybe I'm gonna remove this. Whoops. No code Café. Start today. Okay, and a template, and say hi from me to, let's say, first name here and also last name. So those tokens that we are seeing, so the square brackets, the things that I'm writing right here in my very basic template is something that I would like to have. I would like to, each time, for each contact that I'm sending to, I want it to be replaced. So in this case, I'm just gonna leave it like this for the moment. Okay. Cool. Now we actually need to send an email based on this small setup that we have, and for doing that, we're gonna have to move. Well, I think we can do, for the moment, we can do one workflow, and until next time, maybe we can improve this with the scheduler. But for the moment, let's just do a small workflow.
One question from Eric. I assume the template can include HTML. So yes, and actually we are going to take it further. Hopefully we get to do that today to integrate the B-free editor, which is for building email templates. And then in future webinars, we'll also create a templating engine. So you have separate templates that you select which are attached to which campaigns, and you can maintain them separately.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm gonna spoil it really quickly. So we have an integration with B-free. Can I see only, you know, okay. Can I see the, so we have an integration with B-free that has a nice editor for me to use for editing my template. Let me see if I can give you like a small, so we have an integration that can be used directly in Plant an App with something like this that is gonna give you the option to have your own hey here. You can type everything that you want. You can add your own text everywhere. So this is the exact template that you're going to see exactly like here. You can actually be able to send it, but over that, you can actually add your own first name, last name, custom information, custom pictures. Maybe you want to personalize each email that you send for each individual. So we're going to start adding those features that you cannot get from anything else right now. Okay, I'm gonna close this really quickly. Yeah, leave. Cool. Well, and yeah, and you know, maybe this actually makes sense to do a small adaptation really quickly here. So instead of having a large text until we integrate this, maybe we can have a rich text editor. And click save really quickly. Let's see if this works. I think I need to refresh the page. We can have, okay, wait. I think I know what I did wrong. I think here, exactly like this, I need to have an original, okay, so this got lost. Original template as initial value. So right now we can have something like this. Let's see if I refresh this really quickly. Let's see, I think it should work. Okay, so see, now we have like a rich text editor, and it has a small feature like a small full screen, so you can focus on actually typing your email to your clients. And this doesn't give you really a very big possibility to customize. Maybe you want to, you know, bold those things here really quickly, but that's not really the capability we're looking for. We are looking on something bigger than this. Okay, now, yeah, sending the actual email. Okay, going back really quickly, not here, configuration, workflows. Let's do it. Let's name this really quickly, send. Okay, workflow description. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay, so what we actually need right now. Well, the first thing first, we need to know the campaign name. We need to know the campaign that we want to use to send that specific email address. And I think that's the only thing that we need to define as an input parameter, because after that we can just figure our way through the data from the entities. So the first thing it will be, so we need to load, I think, all the, we need to load all the contacts from all the leads that this campaign has. And to do so, I think we're gonna need run SQL query, and let's see, select, oh well, I may need to connect to the actual database for this. Give me 1 second to do this. 1 second. Okay. Because I need to run my custom query really quickly here. I need to find all the contacts from all the lists that are subscribed, that are assigned to be delivered to this campaign. So this can get a little bit tricky because how we design it, but with great complexity comes with great power. Well, I think Spider-Man said it's different, but okay. Really quickly, let's see. I don't know my database name. Well, site settings. Well, no, server settings, database. B3F, okay. Well, those are not here. Isn't it? Did I connect to the wrong? You know what? Until the next episode, maybe I can figure it out. But I don't want to. I want to be mindful of the people's time, and
So maybe let's just do a query that selects all the contacts regardless of the list.
Well, yeah, that's right. From app contacts where subscribed is one. Is it subscribed? Contacts. Well, the contacts don't have a subscription. We define it based on the list, so this is not relevant right now.
Also, Radu, here, do you want to use a SQL action or a load entities kind of action? Load entities.
Yeah, I want to load entities. You're right. Load entities from a SQL. All the contacts. I'm gonna call it contact. Click save. And here I want an execute action. Execute actions on entity list. I want to do it on contacts, and for each contact I want to send an email. I want the email to be from, in this case, okay, I want it from notifications at this to the contacts email that I just got earlier. Reply, well, yeah, the campaign. Well, I think the campaign has a name, right? Can use that. Maybe this should not be named. This should be title or subject, actually. Yeah, maybe we should rename that subject, but for the moment, let's leave it like this. Dot name and a format of a pure HTML should be the best. And here we would like to have the campaign template. And that should be the only thing I'm missing right now is if I'm gonna use to send this one, I'm just gonna send the tokens as they are. So a thing that I need to do here is an execute, an apply, I think I will apply tokens, and I need to say that, well, I think I need to do an inject data first. I need to assign, so first name and last name are gonna be equal to contact first name, and this should be contact last name. And after that, I think I need, well, I think I did it wrong. I need to take this and recurring and apply this like tokenized template, and I need to apply the tokens inside 2 times. So first time I'm replacing this, and after that I'm replacing the result of this, which is hey from first name last name, and then I'm because I outputted the contact first name like last name in new tokens that are actually first name and last name, those are going to get tokenized again. So, and after that I can send a mail with my my tokenized template. And I'm just gonna click save really quickly. I'm not gonna put any output, and I'm just gonna click save. And if I test this workflow, well, yeah, I'm not using it, but loaded decision. There was an error in the data, please. Did I write something wrong here? So. App contact, so the singular form for all the tables. Yeah, my bad. I almost every time forget this. Okay, so I should have a new email. Mail. Let's see. Where did this email went? In my promotion tags or spam? Let's say all email. See here. Oh, token. So I send out the tokenized template, but why didn't it tokenize? Well, oh, I left the square brackets here. Okay. I know I'm over time, so I'm moving faster. I'm doing a lot of mistakes. But until I receive my email, hopefully. Okay. So this should actually be okay. So wait, what did I do? Okay, so I most likely mistyped something. Last name, I'm sure that I mistyped it somewhere. But you can see that my first name is here right now. So I basically personalized this small email based on the contact information.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Radu. We went a bit over time today, trying to cover a lot of ground. So as I mentioned, we'll keep building this until the next webinar. So then it will be in a functional state. So then at the next webinar, we can focus on adding the next thing. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this the technical content in this webinar. If there are any questions, feel free to follow up with us on email. Any additional questions, and also the feedback form will come up after the webinar. So thanks a lot for being here, and I'll be seeing you next week.
Bye.